caused by the shaking of the brain inside of the skull. But upon impact, the brain will either move forward or backward, causing an injury to occur, and you have bruising inside the skull. The only true way to diagnose a concussion is by post-mortem analysis. This is very difficult for obvious reasons, so we have to resort to the analysis of symptoms. One individual may have a very mild concussion that results in extremely severe symptoms, whereas you may have a very severe concussion that has very mild symptoms, and then later on in life shows up as a precursor to any number of diseases, most likely being neurodegenerative.
Concussions are prevalent in almost every major sport, yet are one of the hardest conditions to diagnose since most symptoms are entirely subjective. Furthermore, concussions are even harder to diagnose if the injured player is in a league that cannot afford properly trained medical professionals, such as low-income school districts. Middle and high school athletes usually only have one trainer, who is most often a volunteer with little to no training in sports or concussion medicine.
Middle school and high school sports aren't the NFL. There are emerging technologies to help take the subjectivity out of diagnosing concussion, but most of the technologies are extremely expensive and still in testing phases. There's a desperate need for a better system of supporting undertrained team doctors for low-income schools.
Only 37% of high schools have at least one full-time athletic trainer on staff. This means that 63% of schools don't have a trained professional to diagnose concussions. In situations like this, there are sometimes volunteer trainers who work with multiple schools on a day-to-day basis. These volunteer trainers are much less reliable when it comes to diagnosing concussions and can be biased towards helping the team succeed rather than focusing on the health of the player.
The CDC estimates that between 1.6 million and 3.8 million concussions occur every year, many of which happen in a high school athletic setting. This is due to the fact that developing brains in children and adolescents are more susceptible to concussions than the adult brain, which finishes developing in a person's early 20s.
7 million high school students participate in high school athletics, and roughly 5 to 10% of athletes get concussions in any kind of sports. In other words, 700,000 high school athletes could have concussions sometime in the next year, yet many will remain undiagnosed. This problem is even worse when athletes are subjected to multiple concussions, which can be a precursor to neurodegenerative diseases.
By developing a solution to diagnosing concussions in a cost-efficient and less subjective way, it would allow schools across the country to better assist their players and coaches in maintaining a healthy athletic environment.
While we may not have an answer yet, we do know that this is a major problem affecting thousands of schools across the country.
If a concussion goes undiagnosed, it can eventually lead to major medical complications.
As we move forward, we are planning to explore many different possible solutions.
Diagnosing concussions is such an emerging field that there are countless solutions that have not been thought of or tested yet.
Whether we create a wearable, a new sideline diagnostic method, an app that functions as a mobile concussion test, or even a new training program for basic concussion diagnostic techniques, we will work until we find a solution to help players get their head out of the game.
We are the Sixth Sense, and we will find a solution to this problem.